Just going to wait for everyone to join. Thank you so much for joining us all. Just going to give it a few minutes for people to have a chance to join us. Morning all. Just give it another about 30 seconds, then I'll get started. I can see that some people have joined. Great, good thumbs up in the chat, thank you. So thank you so much everybody for joining us today to discuss QR codes powered by GS1 as an accessibility tool. This is a 30-minute webinar with time for questions at the end. So if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat at the end. So my name is Kirsten Ed, and I'm a project manager at GS1 UK. I'm joined today by the wonderful Max Dawes from Zappa, who are one of GS1 UK's partners.
Hey everyone.
GS1 UK are a neutral, not-for-profit membership organisation who harness the power of standards to transform the way people work and live. And I work specifically on the QR codes powered by GS1 programme, which is a global programme to help support the transition from the one-dimensional barcode to the two-dimensional barcode. So before I really even get on to talking about QR codes, I'd like to talk a little bit about small print. So I'm sure you've all noticed that the small print on some packaging has gotten a little absurd, with regulatory requirements, web links, instructions, and all kinds of product information. There's so much to say on products that no one really is stopping and asking if people can actually read it. There are 325 million people around the world who are blind or have low vision, and 9 in 10 of these people find it difficult to access crucial information, such as allergens, nutritional information, and expiry dates on product packaging. There are also secondary benefits beyond just this, such as I'm sure we've all had the experience of traveling abroad and not being able to read anything in a supermarket. My mum is allergic to garlic and she loves to travel, so as she's going through the aisles in a Korean supermarket, it can be really difficult to ascertain what items she can eat. So if only there was a way for the information to be accessible via the internet, so it can be translated through our web pages and understandable to us. So this is actually our 6th and final webinar of our 2024 QR webinar series. We've gone through many of the other opportunities and benefits of QR codes powered by GS1 in our previous 5 webinars, which can all be found on GS1 UK's website. Alongside these benefits, the global move from the traditional barcode to a barcode that allows consumers to interact digitally with it is a real opportunity to provide this better, more easily accessible information for us all. This one box can be the gateway to huge amounts of product data, and we should not let the global opportunity to have this information available for everyone to pass us by. So I'm about to hand over to Max Dawes, the Chief Operating Officer at Zappa, one of our AQR solution partners, who will talk about making physical product packaging accessible for people who are blind or with low vision. However, there's some other best practices that can be followed to assist with accessibility. There are web content accessibility guidelines easily available online to follow. You can provide alt text for images that screen readers can describe the images. You can optimize your design for inclusivity. And as Max is about to talk about, you can use an accessible QR solution. Thank you, Max.
Thanks, Kirsten, and thanks everyone for joining, and everyone who's listening back, hopefully. Oh, I'm just slightly struggling to change. Here we go. It was much smoother in the rehearsal, I promise you. So what I'm going to spend the next probably 10, maybe a bit more minutes talking about is, a little bit deeper about the problem here. Kirsten's sort of set the scene there, but we'll go a little bit deeper into that. What the solution is, some of the practicalities of the solution, how it's being used by global organizations around the world, and then what's to come, and then a little recap. So let's get on with it. My colleague Darren in the Zapvision team usually presents this slide, and this is his everyday shopping experience, as it is for over 300 million people, as we just saw earlier. And the idea of the lack of independence when it comes to going to your store and not being able to tell one product from another, which is one of the issues where people can't see or can see very, very little. But then also there's that 2.2 billion people of glasses wearers, affectionately referred to as the long arm brigade, which you'll see in restaurants or supermarkets holding things very, very far away or very, very close up, as we saw on that chocolate bar. And text is getting increasingly small. Next, we're going to watch a video produced by the RNIB, the Royal National Institute for People Who Are Blind, which is a bit of a double click into this and shows what shopping's like as a person who's blind or has low vision.
I believe there was sound issues with that one where the sound was not able to be heard. Again, that did work in rehearsals, so I'm not sure what went
Okay,
wrong there.
if we jump on the next slide, I can give a quick recap on the bits you missed on that video.
Yeah, and we'll be sending around the video, the slides as well, so people can watch the video there.
So what this What's in Store campaign is showing is that what it's like to do shopping if you're blind or have low vision. So those people were walking in off the street and they were completely confused because all the products didn't have any information on them, so you couldn't tell one from the other. And it was sort of a way of bringing to life what the shopping experience is like. And that lack of independence, having to ask people or guess, the lack of ability to make healthy and informed choices. None of the nutritional information was available, or even more importantly, none of the allergen information, as Kirsten was talking about with her, her mother, and not wanting to know whether things have got garlic in them. So the things that we take for granted doing that shop actually mean that those 300 plus million people who are living blind or having low vision end up having very limited dietary choices, maybe relying on a few meals that they know how to make really well, which obviously has other health impacts. Diseases like scurvy are prevalent in the community, where other parts of society have, that's a thing of the past. So independence, healthy, informed choices, and a level playing field of people being able to just select and learn about the product, no matter their visual acuity, is the problem. And now we're going to move on to talking about the solution. If we can go on to the next slide. Not sure who's driving the deck now, but I'm just getting a beep when I click next. Thanks. And the mission to make information from products and product packaging as a basic human right. And the solution is called Zapvision. So just looking at the problem again from another lens, but the challenge here is that there's strong intent. So, companies are wanting to do the right thing. But as we saw on the earlier slide with the chocolate bar, packs are getting increasingly cluttered, and there's more information that needs to go on there, more links, more languages, more codes. So one of the challenges is that there's good intent, but there's limited space on pack to be able to get this solution on there, and also limited time for a new work stream. If we think of the layoffs and these big CPG organizations over the past year or so, teams are much smaller. Teams are already stretched. They've got so much going on, so many priorities. So bringing in a whole nother work stream would have been a challenge. The solution had to be scalable and cost effective, and operationally easy to execute. And a really important insight that we got through our extensive research with the RNIB is that these communities have a handful of assistive apps that they're using all the time, day in, day out, whether it's Be My Eyes or Seeing AI. And so any solution had to exist in these existing apps rather than be yet another app to have on their phone. Click on, please. This audience will be more aware of this than others, but this problem and solution is also needs to be seen through the lens of the broader legislative and standards landscape. The fantastic work being done by GS1 members and partners, and the move to 2D codes is a very, very significant. Then the various legislation around the information that has to go on products with digital product passports. There's the European Accessibility Act. So there's that whole piece. But then there's also a broader movement of companies understanding that their pack can now be a media channel. We've gone from sort of dumb packaging to smart packaging, if you will, and this new age of connected packaging and the use of codes and the digitization of physical packs. So put that all together, and the solution had to be easy for brands to adopt. It had to be scalable. It had to lean into all of that legislative movement and the standards movement to be truly scalable, and build on that rising connected packaging. As we've seen, packs are really cluttered. We can't be bringing in a whole nother code scheme. And then, the solution had to have a really light SDK software development kit that meant it could embed into the apps that these communities are using already. If we go on. And really importantly for us, the solution to this problem had to be built on top of QR, and indeed to be scalable, QR codes powered by GS1. Companies are really thinking about how QR can work for them. There's the standardization and the best practice, which GS1 are leading. And this felt like a kind of once in a generation moment, really, where all of this thinking is happening on packs and move to 2D codes and the utility of that. And we sort of thought it had to build on top of that rather than be a whole nother thing or a whole new code scheme. I should say that some companies are further ahead than others in terms of their adoption of QR codes powered by GS1, but we're certainly big cheerleaders and advocates for it. And we're hearing a lot back from the market, the value that brand owners see in it. Go on. This is what an accessible QR code looks like. It's a product approved by GS1 UK. And you'll see that the QR element looks like a normal QR code, and it's got these dots and dashes, or dot dash, the D3 surround that we affectionately refer to it as, around the outside. And if we click on, we can see the benefits that provides. The D3 surround, or the dot dash surround, that is effectively a codification of the GS1 products category for that SKU, whether it's soft beverage or fruits and vegetables, that's the GS1 product category. So that's all that's being encoded in that surround there. And it allows, as we'll see on the future slides, it allows for much greater scanning distance than QR. So that extra visual detail there allows for a lot much greater scanning distance, and also being able to be detected quickly and when it's blurred. So imagine kind of at line speed, or that kind of fast motion that might be important. Also, crucially, that the dot dash allows us to give an accurate definition of how far away the user is from the code, which we'll see in a future video. And that can then guide the user who's blind or has low vision towards the code in the product that they're looking at. It's not a big lift in terms of the additional artwork. If you're going to include a QR code, you've got the space on pack. It's just a little bit extra detail around the outside. Yeah, of course, it conforms to GS1 standards for the QR code bit. And we work with lots of other partners, including people like Digimarc, and we've got accessible QR with Digimarc that scans at point of sale. And so, yeah, really trying to kind of future-proof the solution in that respect. The standard QR code, so that we all know, you can scan from around 15 centimeters. And with an accessible QR code, so I've got one here, if I scan this with my normal scanning, my camera, I'll be directed to the brand's website. But I do need to be quite close, as we see in this picture on the right-hand side. But if we scan through one of the accessibility apps, Be My Eyes, Seeing AI, and Envision, then it can scan from much further away, and over a meter on our left-hand side. So if we scan from that far away, we have the product category will be announced in audio format, and as we get closer, all of the structured product information will be served to the user through audio or enhanced font size based on their device's accessibility settings. We can go on now. This is, another example. And earlier on, when we were setting it up, we were talking about how it's so important that this wasn't a whole nother code scheme, because it's hard enough getting one code front and pack or back of pack even. So this dual user journey is really fundamentally important part of the solution. And if so on the left-hand side, we see the screen that the user would have got through scanning the QR in the normal way through their native camera app. But if they scan through one of the accessibility apps, they get this structured, nested information that the brand has input. They may have imported through a PIM or one of their data lakes, and then gone in and done any kind of human correction and make sure that the information is in the right order, that it's going to be the most useful for a user who is blind or has low vision. And this slide is a sort of double click on that point, which is, it's not simply a case of taking the exact text from your product pack and making that accessible through enhanced font size or audio. And just thinking sort of tonally, it needs to be more utility tool rather than marketing type language. So we've highlighted just grab here, which is fine if you're sort of speaking in that more marketing-y type tone of voice. But actually, if this is being used as a tool and the user just wants the kind of practical information in as efficient way as possible, tonally, you probably word that differently for the information that's going to be served from the accessible QR code.
So I was thinking we can try and see if this video works when I'm unmuted and see if that perhaps works. But if people can let us know if you can't hear the sound, we can always skip it.
Great, yeah.
Okay, I hear there's still no sound. I don't know, Max, if you just want to describe this one.
Yeah, Yeah, if you go to the beginning, I'll audio describe it. Great. So this lady here is called Lucy Edwards. She's a influencer and brilliant. She's in a supermarket here, and she's said that she's got Be My Eyes on her app here. She's navigated to scan accessible QR. The app is audio announcing. It's got the category, the SKU straight away. Lucy, through taps and swipes, is going to go into the product information. She's going to see what else she needs to buy. So she's finishing her shop here, and now at home she goes back into Be My Eyes. She's going to scan the accessible QR again to get the cooking instructions, which she follows. Now, using Be My Eyes being AI, she's using their AI assistant, which has told her that there's a piece of onion skin, which she's removed. And Lucy goes on to finish cooking the meal and ends by saying, "It's so good," and it does look so good. And yeah, she's independently cooked a meal there using 2 different digital products and solutions. 1, accessible QR, and 2, the AI assistant within Be My Eyes. Conscious of time, so maybe we won't spend too long on this, but just to a comment of how important a partner the RNIB have been in the development of this solution. And they have done, we've done extensive user testing with them. But yeah, you can maybe read more on that if you're referring back. The purpose of this slide is to talk about the opportunity of serialization. With QR codes powered by GS1 and serialization, things like use by, best before, batch date can be encoded into the QR code themselves. And then the accessible journey can tell the user when their product's going to go off. And this, "What is it? Will it kill me?" is a quote from Andy Lane as part of the user testing, and saying that, if you've got some chicken or meat in the fridge, you really just want to know what the sell by date is, rather than having to get in and smell it, which can be quite gross. And yeah, the opportunity for serialized codes is massive, and this really is the kind of killer app and a huge problem that it can solve for the community. Companies are investing and thinking about these types of technologies for primarily 4 reasons, or why they're adopting AQR. One is, yes, it's the right thing to do, but also there's a commercial opportunity here. That we're talking about hundreds of millions of people, and their friends and family groups as well. So it's people with disabilities in the UK. That commercial market is referred to as the purple pound. So there is there's a commercial imperative here as well as the societal one. But that's the corporate social responsibility element is also obviously a huge motivator as well. And the most progressive corporations, as are listed here, are the ones that are blazing a trail and leading the way here. And you see that there are trailblazers within each category, which is great to see. And the other 2 reasons are, kind of to reiterate from earlier, but building on top of the global standards and the move to 2D codes and connected packaging. And then the open technology by design nature, embedding within these existing apps, not being a standalone single vendor, meeting the community where they are within these other accessibility apps has been key. And just to reiterate, it's a kind of, why wouldn't you? If you're putting QR codes on your packs, why wouldn't you make them accessible? It's the right thing to do. We can level the playing field. And we believe that making information on products and packaging should be a basic human right.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I think that's the end of our presentation, and we've got some time for some questions now. In fact, I can already see that we've got some questions from Harish. So Max, do you see if this accessible QR code as a solution will be open source at any time in the future, like normal QR codes?
Yeah, great question. Yes, eventually. But it would be hard to say when. And I guess with any new technologies, it's quite a big lift to build it and all the R&D that's got into it. So currently it's not open source, but the ambition and the move is to increasingly sort of standardized approach.
And I see there's another question which sort of has two parts. One of it, which is, will this be useful to industries apart from CPG? But then there's sort of follow-up that the standard size of the AQR is 15 millimeters, and other industries might require QR codes smaller. And will Zapvision's AQR work with QR codes smaller than 15 millimeters?
So in terms of other industries or other use cases, even, we're increasingly seeing interest for a navigational use case. So having accessible QR codes out and about in the built environment. Any product doesn't have to be within CPG, but any product that is a packaged good, I guess that is kind of, but like it could be it's in its broadest definition, anything that's available at retail, or indeed it could be meal kits, anything that someone's going to consume or use in some way. It could be over-the-counter pharma, it could be electronics, it could be IKEA furniture. It's really broad in terms of the use case. And then on the sizing, 15 millimeters is a recommendation. It can go smaller. It can go down to 12 within the accessible QR. It can go right down much smaller to that. But we then lose the QR element when you go smaller. If you go smaller than 12 millimeters, it needs to be something called a dense code, which no longer has the QR benefits. So it's sort of slightly diminished in the dual user experience. But for things like, say, lipstick or those much smaller products, down to 4 millimeters for a dense code is possible. And then that out and about more navigational use case, those QR codes will be bigger. The important thing is that the solution and the app knows what size of QR code is looking at, which we do on our back end, and then that's how we do the distance calculation.
Fantastic, thank you. I think we've got time for a couple more questions. If anyone has any further, put them in the chat. Aside from this, we'll have an email address. Any other questions can be sent over. We'll share them with Max, and we'll make sure we're getting back with responses. One of my questions was, I saw that you had, Nestle and Unilever, and I saw you picked up, was it Persil, in terms of different brands that are using it. I don't know if you want to maybe shout out a couple of people who are doing this as a really good example, so we can all go down to a retailer and have a little scan ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, accessible QR codes are now on 2.8 billion different product items globally. So that's individual product items rather than SKUs or brands. But yeah, so if you're in a UK supermarket, look out for Knorr stock cubes. They've got an accessible QR code on them. All those Coleman's products, Persil, I think around the majority of Unilever's top 30 hero brands have accessible QR on them now. You'll see them on Kit Kats, Quality Street, Kettle One vodka. Yeah, more and more each month, which is great to see the movement gathering pace like that.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so everyone has to go now and have a little check and a scan and see how it works for them. We've got to our 11:30 time now, so I just really want to say thank you so much, Max. It's been amazing being able to hear all about this great movement. We'll be sending around a follow-up email that will have a link to be able to rewatch this, or have a link to all of our webinars that have already gone ahead. And you can email us at qr@gs1uk.org at any time with any further questions. But yes, so thank you so much, everybody, for partaking, and yeah, special thank you to you, Max.
Thanks for having me. And I'm sure the tech snafu was on my side, so I take full responsibility for any of that.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.